Cinematic hacking follows a predictable rhythm. A few seconds of typing, a flashing progress bar, and a country's power grid collapses in an instant. The reality of a major cyber attack is less dramatic, but far more unnerving. It looks like a hospital's lights going dark and staying out, or a city's water supply suddenly halting without explanation. Movies rely on the assumption that a nation's entire infrastructure is one unified digital network. They suggest that finding a single master key allows an attacker to topple an entire government from a laptop in a coffee shop. This industrial control panel tells a different story. National infrastructure is a chaotic patchwork of systems built over 50 years. In many facilities, brand new software runs alongside analog dials and manual switches from the 1970s. These legacy components have no internet connection to exploit. This technical messiness creates a natural defense. Because there is no single central network, an attacker would need to develop hundreds of specialized tools to hit different facilities simultaneously. Shutting down a grid requires years of reconnaissance, rather than one final press of the enter key. Because of these difficulties, world leaders have historically categorized digital disruptions as espionage or nuisance rather than acts of war. This escalation firebreak means that even when states disrupt one another's systems, the response remains confined to the digital arena through sanctions or legal indictments. The combination of technical fragmentation and established geopolitical precedent makes moving from a digital exploit to a conventional war a complex process. In the real world, bytes do not lead to bullets by accident. We can track the path from a hack to a military conflict through an escalation ladder. Rung 1 involves a shift in intent, moving from data theft to operations designed to cause physical damage to the systems that keep society running. In 2015, the world saw the scale of this hardware-focused warfare. Russian-linked hackers infiltrated 3 energy companies in Ukraine, using malware to remotely flip circuit breakers on physical transformers like these. Hundreds of thousands lost power in the middle of winter. Cyberattacks also target the administrative backbone of society. The 2024 ransomware attack on Change Healthcare paralyzed payments and pharmacy prescriptions across the United States. When a digital disruption prevents patients from receiving critical medication, it begins to look less like a crime and more like a national security threat. Rung 2 moves from the impact to the source. Attackers hide by bouncing their data through dozens of compromised servers in different countries, often using stolen tools to frame other nations. Tracing these false flags is a forensic nightmare. Forensic evidence rarely offers absolute certainty. Leaders must decide if they are willing to risk starting a war based on probability, knowing a mistake could target an innocent nation. Rung 3 is the standard response to a verified attack. Rather than launching missiles, governments use a toolkit of diplomatic expulsions and economic sanctions. They name and shame the perpetrators, treating the incident as a breach of international norms rather than a military invasion. However, certain red lines exist where cyberattacks trigger conventional military force. These thresholds include attacks that cause mass casualties, sabotage critical safety systems at a chemical plant, or interfere with a nation's nuclear command and control infrastructure. Alliances like NATO maintain strategic ambiguity about these thresholds. They never state exactly which hack will trigger an armed response, which forces adversaries to calculate whether their next cyber operation will be the one that finally draws a kinetic strike from the entire alliance. Rung 4 marks the integration of digital and physical force. Cyber operations are rarely the sole cause of a war. They are a weapon used during a war. Hours before the 2022 invasion, hackers hit the Viasat satellite network to dismantle Ukrainian military communications as troops advanced. This attack illustrates how cyber warfare spills over. While aimed at military targets, it paralyzed modems across Europe and severed remote monitoring for German wind turbines. Modern conflict uses cyber operations to prepare the battlefield, support advancing troops, and demoralize civilians. The threshold for war is crossed when leaders decide that the cumulative weight of digital and physical aggression demands a kinetic response. While state-sponsored digital weapons receive the most attention, the most common root cause of system failure is simply human error. A single employee clicking a link in a deceptive email can provide an attacker with a foothold that months of sophisticated coding couldn't achieve. These fuel tanks represent the massive physical scale of the colonial pipeline. In 2021, an attacker used one compromised password to shut down this system, causing fuel shortages across the East Coast. A national disruption of this magnitude was caused by a simple failure to use multi-factor authentication. Cyberspace presents a unique deterrence problem. Because digital damage can often be reversed through data backups, world leaders face a high bar before authorizing an irreversible military strike. This creates a state of constant, low-level conflict that never quite crosses into open war. To manage this threat, many nations adopt a defend-forward strategy, hunting for adversaries deep inside the attacker's own networks. Look at this data packet entering a foreign system. To the sender, it is a defensive scan meant to disrupt a future attack. To the nation being scanned, that same packet looks like a military scout preparing for an invasion. Finding foreign military presence in a power grid can be interpreted as prelude to a strike, which could lead a nation to launch a preemptive physical attack in self-defense. The true danger is years of digital erosion will make a future political crisis more combustible. A state that cannot protect its people from constant, invisible attacks loses legitimacy, which can make extreme military solutions more appealing to the public. For the students watching, in the coming years, which poses the greater risk to global stability, geopolitical military hackers or profit-driven ransomware gangs? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.